Hello everyone and welcome to part 2, and yes, I am finally going to get that tank on the car, and hopefully by the end of the episode it will start. I have been completely blowing out the fuel system to make sure that any remnants of any old fuel remaining in the pipe work going from the front of the car to the back is gone. It's all been blown out. The filter has also been changed again. I'm glad to report that after some paper gasket making, just to make a new flange gasket, and you can see the picture on your screen, and that Weber carburetor is now reassembled, attached. It's got everything up the front that it needs. I'm just awaiting a new battery which will arrive at the point of this episode at some point. But I have actually got the pièce de résistance of the fuel tank. Oh boy. I love the look of a new fuel tank. This is absolutely amazing. And believe it or not, I think that the company, I'm just going to turn you around here, that is the box, the company it came from. But they're made in Taiwan. Again, just like Ford Focus Mark 1 front wings and a lot of Ford stuff, pattern parts are made in Taiwan. It's like, I think they've got the old Ford tooling or something like that. So, yeah, I think that's possibly why a lot of their stuff is actually really high quality. And I tell you what, comparing this with the original, there's no differences. The welding's absolutely perfect along here where the two sides are butted together. And it's absolutely perfect. I mean, the diameter of that pipe is perfect. Even though this is the problem, I'm just going to explain one thing in a second about that. I've got some 7mm hose pipe that I'm going to use to connect to this section, because believe you me, that is going to be a pain. I can only connect that up when the tank is almost in situ. It's a bit of a problem, that, so I'm going to have to use something quite easy, otherwise it'd be very difficult. I've just slipped the original seal back on. There's a crack just down there, see that there. Unfortunately you have to squish it to get into place, and the rubber isn't as supple as it used to be, but in there is just clean metal, just clean. Can't really see much, but it's clean. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some petrol in here and swish it round a little bit once I've put the sender back in, which is what I'm going to come to next, just to make sure that the petrol is coated everywhere, including the top half of the tank where petrol doesn't normally sit, and you do get a bit of rusting if the petrol's sitting for too long. Condensation is bad for tanks. But this is some sort of parts number on here. I don't know if it relates to any Ford stuff, but that is definitely not the parts number of this tank. The parts number is like 65 something. But we have the smaller entrance for the carburetor models. If you've got fuel injection, it'll be a much bigger hole. Strange enough, this manufacturer makes those tanks as well. But the ones with the bigger hole for the fuel injection models, they're about £110. They're much cheaper, possibly because there's more demand for them, I suspect, and there's less demand for the early carb models because they're probably on a niche these days. But literally, I've just gone over some GT85 there, and I've just given it a bit of a clean, because there was some there is some still wax on this from it being in storage, but I'm going to keep it on. I'm going to spray a bit of Dynax over this tank a little bit just before it goes on in situ, but apart from that, I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm not stone chipping it. I love the finish. I think it's quite nice, and I don't want the Fiesta to look all stone chipped completely underneath. I think a fuel tank like this that will stand out a mile is like a this car is looked after. I think for me, the one thing that makes me feel that a car is really well looked after, especially a classic car, when someone has actually managed to obtain a brand new old stock fuel tank and it looks it, or they've had the fuel tank refurbished and resprayed. It shows a sign of an owner who's going the extra mile, because not many people like to deal with fuel tanks. But anyway, next subject is this fuel sender. So this fuel sender, this is the problem, right? The filter's just fallen off. I have just spent a lot of time sorting this out. These lines have had to come off. And believe you me, can you see the effort it's taken to get them back on? Honestly, I had to get my pliers to twist them back on, which is why Getting the line on back on there, I'm not doing that. I found it impossible in my flat to do this. Doing it under the car, where it's the same vapour line that goes to there as these. So, no, it's the same material, and believe you me, these are tight. That's not going to leak. But I've just cleaned up the top there, cleaned up the bottom connection and the seal. This seal, by the way, that's flip-flopping all over the place, that came with the tank. This tank came with a new seal for the sender. How about that? But yeah, I've cleaned inside that box because this float, yeah, it's nice and free now. It was getting a bit stuck. There was a lot of rust on that arm as well, which I've cleaned off very, very gently because I'd be in trouble if that didn't work. But I've made sure that the actual pointer is making contact with the track, which is why it might not work if you didn't check that. But it's all been cleaned up, and I've probably, in hindsight, recalibrated this fuel sender because the pointer wasn't exactly on empty when it was at the bottom position. It was kind of just above the bottom, which it shouldn't be. So it could have been basically showing a higher reading than what's in the tank. That is a big problem in a lot of classic cars. How many people have got classic cars and say, right, when you take my... And I've had this before when I've gone out for test drives in other cars, just briefly a couple of times. When you take my car out, if it gets to around a quarter of the tank, you've got to treat that like it's empty. And that's when you know that that's not calibrated properly, because that shouldn't happen, obviously. So effectively, you have to treat a quarter of the tank like empty. I mean, that's just ridiculous for various different reasons. But I just love the finish of this tank, and it's going to go on so much well. Spark plugs have come out for a bit of a clean in petrol, just because they're good enough. I've regapped them. But as far as I'm concerned, yeah, let's press on. Oh, by the way, guys, top tip, this gauze filter that sits at the bottom, I've cleaned it out, and it doesn't stay on. It stayed in the tank, remember, when I pulled it out. There's no way you can just drop this sender in and that's not going to stay in place. You can't do it. What you got to do is turn the tank upside down, screw that in, just twist it in. The reason why I'm doing it, the clip that holds these pipes neatly, I've just put there because that's where it sits. And this clips in one way. You just put it in at a right angle, pipes on that side, and then you turn that way. Okay? It should be like that. You should put it in like that and turn it that way. Otherwise, these notches won't line up with them notches, and you'll wonder why it won't fit. So, yeah, you've got to do that back to front. So I've got to have the tank upside down so that doesn't fall off, and then twist it in that way. Simples. This is going to be the tricky bit. Put the float in. Okay. You just got to turn it until it... Oh, that's stopped. You might have to use some of these, but I think I've just got away with that. Right, okay, so the pipes, your feed is at the top and the return is at the bottom. Gotcha. There we go. Sitting nicely at the bottom, that filter and the float. Perfect. Right, so now we've got the tank outside, and right, the first thing to do really is this tank is pretty new. What we need to do is swig some of this in. So I've got some fresh E5 petrol, and I will not buy anything else other than this because that's the policy. It's as simple as that. This tank will never receive E5 under my ownership, and I shall put a health warning on the fuel cap. No E10, thank you. But anyway, we're just going to put a little bit in, swig it around, and then we're going to just put the dirty stuff in this jug. I could do with some spare cleaning petrol. And, excuse me, while I fast forward this bit. What you want to do is make sure that the tank is completely covered in fresh petrol. Just be careful it doesn't come out and fill a hole. otherwise it could be quite messy. But just make sure that the petrol is coating the top side, the bottom side and the sides of the tank. Just be very careful. And anything excessive, any dust, any remnants are just gone. Do you like my new table? Lidl middle aisle. Very bad place to be. Always buying stuff from there. Now, I think this could be a bit difficult. Oh dear. It's a bit difficult to catch this. Hold on. Put my finger there. There we go. Bit of a mess on the table, but hey, that's what this is for. Right. There's only a small amount of petrol left in there. That's absolutely fine. And no, not much. Most of the dirt is actually in that jug. It's not the clean. It's not a very good experiment. I'm just gonna, clean all this up. It's not the sort of operation that is clean, put it that way. Anyway, that is now primed and ready to go on the car. So I'll clean this up and we'll get underneath. Right, just before we start and put this in, I just want to demonstrate a few things. Oh yes, why is this here? You'll find out in a second. Couple of new cable ties to secure the breather hose. Those are the screws for the back seat slab because I need to get access to the plug, etc. That's for the breather. That is the little nut that holds the... It's not in very good condition. Should have really given that a bit of a clean up. That holds the filler pipe in place. And these are the two bolts that go at the front of the tank. And the rear ones have... Well, they used to go through that stupid clip. That one was about to seize. But as you can see, I've replaced it with a washer and nut. Okay, so I'll just hold at one end and tighten the nut up. That's the best way of doing that and securing the tank. Yes, I found this in my spares, and that's for a piece that's missing on the car. Nothing to do with this job. But anyway, next thing is to show you exactly how it looks underneath. I have been scrubbing away stone chip as usual. You'll know why I need that in a second. And I can explain this as well. Things have been going on. Look at this. Completely and utterly clean. Bit of stone chipping up there. It's all been done. I've had to put some cardboard on the way to stop painting the bottom of the seat. It has really held together extremely nicely. It's embedded really nicely, and everything's just awaiting. It's just I've given all these brake pipes, handbrake cables an extra clean while I've been off. And from what you can actually see, where's the exhaust gone? The back box. I've got a treat at the end of this episode. Believe you me, I was so chuffed to bits when I saw what I saw. I think you might know what I'm talking about. But anyway, all I need to restate is one area that I've painted, and it is this bracket here. This bracket and that bracket over there that holds the tank up with the two rear bolts. The two front bolts go in, one there and one there, okay? The tank is earthed to the car via the bolts, and you want to make sure that this metal is clean, okay? Because if the tank is not earthed, then the fuel sender is not earthed and your fuel gauge won't work, okay? So bear that in mind. The fuel sender has to be earthed via the tank, and therefore it needs a clean connection to the car. Something that people overlook, and they realise, oh, my fuel sender's not working now. I wonder why. You might have painted areas that you shouldn't. It's not always appropriate to put paint in certain areas, but there you go. And I might have to do a bit of topping up, but overall, absolutely fine. Now, I am not going to reveal the back end of this car because a lot of work has been going on underneath this car cover, hence why we've got all this. Yes, you can imagine what I've been doing there, guys, and I did say I wasn't going to film any of that because it is being time consuming, and yes, it's not been easy. Anyway, let's get this fitted. This is the tricky bit, trying to get it into position without scratching the lovely coated surface. Now, I'm trying to get the breather pipe in place. Now, the main aim here is to try and put that filler pipe straight into there and just slip it in, and then we're good to hook it up. Basically, that's the only real friction fit we need to worry about. Obviously, we've got this bugger. Now, this is the vapor line that goes on top of the tank to that little pipe there. You see, I've put this little hose because there's no way I can get that original pipe back on. I'm not fighting under the car. So I've literally just hooked, no Jubilee clip, because it's a vapor line, it's not under pressure. I've just literally slipped on. It's a very nice fit, actually, this 8mm inner diameter hose, and it will just literally slip on. In fact, look at that. Slide it on. You could say there needs to be a bit more resistance there, but the truth is it's a vapor line, it's not a fuel line. So I doubt that fuel is ever going to be able to come out of there anyway. It's a tiny little hole. That's the idea of this big boy. Well, it's a filler breather, but it still breathes a little bit. But yeah, so I'm just going to slip that on there and readjust it if necessary, but it's not going to slip off because it's going to be cable tied into place. Well, you can't put it under the, make sure you get everything right, guys. Don't do that. Go from the other side. You've got to have this going over the rear beam. So I'll slip that on now, just roughly, and then we're in a better place to slip this on. So I'll just try it. Oh, come on. There we go. Just getting it at the right angle. Right. That's better. Now, that could slide in. What you've got to be careful of is it's not fouling. Just make sure that vapor line is on. Good. Just make sure it's not smashing into any of the brake pipes and hitting the exhaust, because it kind of is a little bit, and it's just a question of, there we go. Oh, I think that's gone. Yep, I think that's just about gone. It's just slipping in because the whole thing kind of pivots up and down with this. That's why you got to take the bolt out for that filler pipe, because nothing moves. You've got to have movement to flex it all in and out. Right, I've given up trying to do it that way because it was a bit too tight, so I'm going to go from the side, since I've got the car fully jacked up. So we're just going to leverage it in. The angle of this pipe suggests that I have to put it in like that and then do that. So you kind of have to, oh, that's it. Go on, go on, go on, go, 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 go. Yes, it's gone. Yes. So you see the angle that I'm going at, probably on camera it's a bit harder, but that's just popped in. Oh, goodness me. Yeah, that can be... Oh, come on. Go, go, go. Yeah, that is literally going in very easily. Now, I think I can try and get this to come around the beam. This is the tricky bit. So, just got to angle it under the exhaust. There we go. Okay. Oh, yes. Well, where's the bolts? Oh, yeah, the bolts are all over there where I need them. Need about 2 different people with this. Oh. This is not the way they teach you to do this, but, wow. If the car goes down on me, I'm dead. Hopefully my ramps are good, eh? Oh, right. So, while I'm lying here in suspense, that's definitely connected. I've just checked the vapor line is still connected, because that would be a pain if that wasn't connected. Now I've got to try and actually get this in. So I'll put the bolt through and then the nut and washer on the other side. This is going to be the tricky bit of this operation, but still, try and get one in. Why didn't I just use the jack? That would be easier, but then, you know, the jack's in the house and I'm already this far in. There we go. That's it. Got it. Get the nut on quick. No, I've lost it. Damn it. Oh, bugger it. I can already hear the comments of people saying, just go and get the jack, Andrew. Yeah, I think I agree with you. But sometimes, particularly when the tank is empty, you think, no, it should be absolutely fine. Right, that's one side in. Come on. Try and get this lined up. There we go, done. It's easier on this side. There's a bit more room on this side than the other side, and now I've lost the nut again. Put the washer, excuse me, if you've fallen over. There we go. I did tap these threads to allow me to do this. There we go, lovely, fantastic. Okay, that's that tank is kind of, oh, you see there's no room for my fingers on this side. Come on, get that nut over a bit more. There we go. Good. Tapping bolts makes life a lot easier on reassembly. That's my top tip there. If you're doing any of these reassembly jobs and you've got old bolts that you're having to reuse, please try and tap them, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to do it by hand. I'd have to be using the socket set. Now I'm just going to leave that free now, but you can see how far that's gone into the tank. Oh, it looks amazing already, doesn't it? It looks absolutely amazing. And yeah, that's in the right place, and I do hope to God that breather hose is on. Now, kind of in a position where you can see how far we've got to come though. This has still got to move a little bit further up first, so I'm just going to give the fuel tank a bit of a hammer to just bring it this way. Right. If you're struggling, just bring the filler pipe forwards. It's too far back. The fuel tank is in the right position, but just trying to force it. Ah, done. It's gone. Perfect. Okay, that filler neck is well butted up there. Ah, thank God. You've just got to get the bolt. You've got to push the tank up just to get the bolt in the first few threads. There we go. Oh no, one of the bolts has just popped out. That does happen. Oh yeah, that's gone in. That's the one with the Loctite on. See, this one's popped out because of the strain of the tank. Bit more. That's gone. Lovely. And then you could just get a socket on it. 13s. Also, a top tip for when you're tightening these sort of bolts up with weight on them is to put your knee or push up, because otherwise the strain of the whole object, this being the tank in this case, is putting pressure on that thread, so you'll find it difficult to use the ratchet. It'll get very tight. There we go. Right, so what I'm going to do to tighten this up is a 13mm at the bottom and a 13mm at the top. This will make things a lot easier in the future. Oh, well, you must make sure that the ratchet is the right way, otherwise it won't tighten. There we go. That's nice and tight, and that is nice and secure. The old-fashioned washer and nut scenario. Just got to repeat the process on the other side, and we can finish off. Just sure that these hoses are just inserted, and just pop them very gently into this bracket here, because these brackets are known to snap if you're not careful enough. And put that back in there. There we go. Lovely, fantastic. And that's inserted quite nicely into there. Lovely, fantastic. Right, we can just give this a bit of a clean up and move on to the back. Right, into the back again. So just make sure that that is sitting butt up, and it's fully into that tank. Now we need to get this blooming breather hose through, but please don't put it back on before you've put this fella back on. Just want the hose clip straight on there. And then, this is the tricky bit. Is it going to go over the new one? Oh, God, this is going to be tight. I've just got my stronger hand here. There we go, it's gone over. It has split a little bit, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, it has split a little bit too much. Just trying to get that round. Done. Unfortunately, it's split even further. That is not ideal. However, I have managed to see that there are some brand new ones up for sale, so I might just look into that in the future. I know that this can be taken off quite easy, actually, including the filler pipe assembly in the future if I need to do so. But I've already spent quite a bit of money on this project, so let's just see if I can take up the gap with this hose clip a little bit. It is just a breather, so I'm just going to tighten that up there. It can also be that the aftermarket breather pipe is fractionally bigger in diameter. That could also be a factor that I didn't really consider. That's it, that's tight. That's really, really tight there. See, it's just a little bit of a cut there, but trust me, it's fine, it's good, it will seal, and that's the main thing. In fact, if I just come to this side, I'm just trying to get some light. Yeah, there's no crack on this side, so there's no chance of fuel vapour from going anywhere else. It is just a breather, so that when you fill, there's air coming out as well as fuel going in. Otherwise you'd have some significant issues. Now all I've got to do is bolt this back into place, this fella here. So I think the hole's just where this is. Yes, it is. Just tighten up, not over tighten. Fantastic, brilliant. Right, next we just put some cable ties around this in the original places. So the cable tie here, securing the vapour line to the breather pipe, just like that. Cut that off, cut it flush. There you go, that's OEM for you. And then the next one, try and secure it further down here. So that's the line. Just want to make sure that it's all wrapped up together. Okay. Oh, I haven't done this. Why is that loose? All right, I'll go back and do that in a second. I'm just going to wrap this around it. Off. Done. Lovely. Right, I just tighten this back up. I don't know why that was loose. I think it was because I was experimenting with getting... Oh yes, because I had to twist this breather pipe to get it off. You have to just loosen things to move things around, just like getting the filler neck into the filler tank, into the fuel tank I should say. Oh yes, that's nice and secure. Lovely. And relax. We are done. I'll cover that. But yeah, it's all secured. Fuel pipes are in. Filler neck's in. That's all secured. That's in there. That's secure. That's in there. That's secure, no problems about that whatsoever. Perfect. Right, I've got to just connect from the other side in the car, and we are done. Ooh, spoilers. Sticky tape. Right, okay, we're in, and we can just snuggle this backrest off, and yeah, just remove that cardboard. That was for paint, and we can just snuggle this back on. Strange enough, I can't see what I'm doing. I'm actually looking at the camera to help me do what I'm doing. Just making sure that the pipes are connected. Yeah, it's all done, nicely connected. Lovely. Slap bang on. Just make sure it's all routed nicely, and then put the grommet back over. Right, before I give the game away and show more from what I'm supposed to, I'm going to leave this episode here. How to change your fuel tank on a Mark III Fiesta. Simple as that. Everything's back in place. I've just put the 2 screws in to secure the back seat. Oh, that one's not as secure as it should be. Hold on, what was that? Oh, the screw's not come in, that's why. The screw's not gone in fully. See, always happens. Anyway, I'm going to leave this here, and next episode we're just going to go through what I've done at the front of the car, put the back box on, which will be interesting, and we'll start the car. Fingers crossed on this one. I hope it works. Take care. Worth a try.